All right, Aquarius, this is going to be your May 2025, not a daily, it's a monthly. It's a monthly for the entirety of May 2025. I was just about to misspeak, but, oh, God, okay, you could be catching yourself about to make some mistakes this month, and it could be just a running gag that you run into. It's like, nope, stopping yourself before you make the mistake, and, hyper-focusing on what your intention is. So for the month of May 2025, we are getting 8 cards, and first row, second row is going to be pretty much however it comes out to be. Oh no, we'll see. We'll just get into it and go. After you get your 8, there will be a 9th card that's going to be the entirety of, or it's not going to be the entirety. It's going to touch every area of your life and either give you some guidance or tell you what to watch out for in every area, because it's almost like there's someone tapping you on the shoulder, like, hey, by the way, don't forget about this, don't forget about that. And your first card for the month of May 2025 is the Magician in the upright. You have the tools, you have the resources, and you have some of the knowledge. However, what you're missing is the practical experience. And even though you're doing everything, like passing and failing, yes, no, all of the, both sides of the spectrum, you're always coming back to this midpoint. So it does look like you're going to be balanced, and then come back to the fact that you have the tools, you know how to use the tools, you have the resources, and you know how to use the resources, but how can you improve upon that? What can you do to make these things do, maybe not make these things, maybe help these things help you reach your goal? Because if I'm trying to think of a way to put this, if we have a tool, we have a resource. A tool is something you can use over and over again. A resource is something that gets burnt out. It has an end to it. It has an end to whether it's 1, 2, or 3 times. Like, at some point, the box is going to be empty. You're going to exhaust your supply. That's a resource. And even though you can replenish that, you will have to go on another journey, essentially, like to the store to replenish your supply, or gather it and go through the process of harvesting and all that. But I don't know. I think I'm getting the distinct impression that you might be a pile person. I am a pile person myself, and if things are actually organized and right in front of me, I will not be able to find it. Label facing out in the appropriate spot, and a seeing eye dog couldn't get me to see where that is. But if it's in some messy pile buried under 3 boxes and some dish towels, then I will be able to find it in 0.3 seconds. So that's kind of what I'm getting from this, is that everything is in its distinct little, like, amalgamation, right? And even though nothing is active, nothing is really working together yet, they're there so that whenever you want to put your energy and your will to it, you can help everything to direct itself to help it express its I want to say necessities. So there could be some necessities that you're dealing with this month too. Anyway, that's just card 1. We have card 2 too, and it is my cup of tea in the background that you're seeing on the left-hand side. But for your second card, of course, we've got the Tower. So that may be what it is that you need to activate everything. A little bit of chaos, a little bit of necessity. This tower is something that was built on a foundation that you knew was stable, that had proven itself over and over again. And that's why you keep building these things. Now, why you keep building these towers, these are supposed to be ideas. These are supposed to be things that you can rely on. However, they are hollow. Remember that they are hollow so that you can fill them with things. But whenever something tends to exhaust its supply, it kind of like a grain silo, right? If I'm not mistaken, the grain in the grain silo helps give it some strength by pushing outward on it, and almost reinforces that friction, reinforces its structure. So if something's not working for you, it may be because you exhausted the resources that you put into it, or that you may not have been tending to. Now, I know it almost looks like I've ever had this meaning come up with the tower before, or this visual, but it's almost like the tower is Pandora. And Aquarius, if you're just now tuning into this, I'm gonna piece this together later on, but yeah, your reading quit because my phone storage was full. So you probably won't see any difference other than me saying this down. Anyway, you could be in the middle of something and you just find that everything just stops. I don't know. Anyway, back to what I was saying about the tower. The tower even looks like it has a lid on it with the crown up there at the top. It's like, okay, so it's blowing its lid. Its lid is open. It's like Pandora's box, and you have all these spirits and everything flying out of it. But I think that's just the ghost of the idea that you started with, because it doesn't apply. It wasn't practical. It didn't. You know what? That's going to be your next card because that's appropriate. Because it wasn't necessary or appropriate for the situation. And that's there's number 4. Things will just end up sliding into place just like those two did, because the devil popped out and the Queen of Cups, I'm just sitting here shuffling, and it's on the top and it's already flipped over. So I think even though it may seem as though you don't have as strong of a structure, like you have all of the resources and everything that you need. You have all of your piles and everything. It's right where you know it is. And you have the tools that you know how to use, and how to use them, or how to repurpose them and use them in new ways. You may end up finding that you are depleting your resources, and the idea that you started with, this ivory tower that you started with, this good intent that you started with, it may have been trying to cover up some trauma, may have been trying to counteract that trauma, or fix that same kind of a thing for somebody else. But because it feels like it's a group of people, almost like starting a food bank to help others, and well, that's great, but all of your food went to the food bank, and now you need the food bank yourself. We've got the devil coming up, because it's like, well, are you addicted to helping people, or are you addicted to trying to fix something in yourself by doing it for other people instead of actually fixing it for you? Because I never really see the devil as a bad character, as a bad influence. It's pointing out that this is the union that you signed up for. This is the thing that you have bound yourself to. And if you're looking for somebody to blame, it's not so much that there needs to be somebody to blame, but if you're looking for something that's wrong with the situation, that's you're finding something negative about it, and you're looking for someone to make accountable for it, because it doesn't seem like it's you that's doing this, that it's you that's bringing this part of this person out. It's likely that part of that person was always there, and it wasn't until they got into a stressed out situation or a situation where they weren't getting what they wanted that they were going to be difficult. Because until then, everything was fine. And you may end up finding that you're in a really weird dichotomy with this person that wasn't conscious. And it could be a job, it could be any kind of a situation, but this other thing that you're bound to, because like, well, you do this and they do that. You do this and you need, and then you go work and you put energy into that work, and then it pays your bills, you know. And as much as you have relied on this, you're finding out that it's not doing anything except for perpetuating the same situation over and over again. It's perpetuating this cycle, this yes-no spectrum that you keep coming back to baseline, but then as soon as you get out of that baseline and start to improve, you also start downsloping back into your old habits and getting back into the same old situations. Because it's like, well, I'm starving and I need the food bank. And then you get to a point where you're donating to the food bank. And because you're donating so much, then that's where you find yourself again. Because you want to give, but you need to start limiting yourself. It's like you're, it's really like the devil is here to say, Aquarius, that you've had this experience before. And it's your choice to keep feeding into this experience again and again, and nothing is changing. The only thing that's changing is where you're at in your life, but it's not doing anything to perpetuate a better life. It's not doing anything to perpetuate a advance. And I think that may be what it is that that the Queen of Swords is trying to say. Look back on previous actions and previous events to see why it is that you, or maybe even somebody else, keeps finding themselves in this position. Was the situation really just empty? Did it just look good, like this tower? Did it just look good on the outside, and on the inside it was just empty? It was a bunch of stairwells. It was a bunch of windows that was enough to make it look impressive, because windows are impressive. Okay, they are. You know, there's that one story where it's like, oh, if you want to tell how rich someone is, and it's an old English countryside kind of like melodrama thing, right? And like one of the sisters is going through, and like as they're driving through the countryside, going to this person's estate or whatever, she would hyper focus on how many windows he had on his mansion. And they were saying like, oh, well, that's not that impressive. And well, no, it is, because he has 72 windows on just that one side of the house. And because windows would equate money, right? It like the added cost that would take to heat the house. And this is back whenever everything was wood burning and steam powered and all of that. And it could just be that somebody is making a good show. I don't think it's you necessarily, but it's like somebody's making a good show about what they've learned. And coming back to Magician, this might be you this month, Aquarius, where you're like, I have the same things that this person over here does. Why am I not this ivory tower? Well, the ivory tower is empty inside, and it's not about what you fill it with, it's about the craftsmanship that goes into the tower that makes it look good for this other person's case. And that may be why the devil's coming up too. Like, well, what are you really binding yourself to? Are you binding yourself to the results, or what the result looks like? are you actually learning anything from all this craftsmanship that's going into this tower with, like the old cathedrals, right? The old cathedrals, there's a ton of craftsmanship, and it's like, people have even said, we can't do that anymore. Like, we can replace pieces of it and make it look cohesive, but, like, from the ground up, it's unlikely that we could actually do that anymore. Like, we have documentation on how they did this and that, but some of these cathedrals, some of these buildings carved out of stone are not that old. They're really not. And then you compare it to the pyramids, and it's like, they're impressive, they're big, but what was their purpose? We've lost sight of that. We've lost sight of a lot of the craftsmanship that humanity has brought in, and I am on a tangent, but we're going to go back to the reading, but that might trigger something for you. Anyway, yeah, because we've got this Four of Swords that's in the reverse on top of the Magician, and it's just kind of reiterating you have everything, and you may have even exhausted your own resources gathering all of the school supplies, essentially, and now you're too tired to learn the damn lesson. I'm not trying to keep you here forever, Aquarius, but I keep almost wanting to say Gemini, so you might want to watch the Gemini reading, or you maybe know a Gemini. Gemini has something to do with this for you, but with the Page of Wands, he's looking back and he's trying to figure out if everything he has done before lines up. Essentially, he's using that as a sighting stick and trying to get a bearing on where he's been and whether or not it met the purpose that it was intended to meet. It's possible that this is because you're entering a new spiritual path, and you're trying to get a different perspective, a different idea of what you could gain from previous action, previous lessons that you didn't before, given this new perspective. And then it's followed by the Knight of Cups, who is like, well, if you've been here, if you've been watching these, and I have a thing against the Knights, Aquarius. I do, for a number of reasons, and I'm trying to figure out, and I think that my whole process of figuring out why I don't like the Knights, because I used to not have a problem with them. Yeah, I really used to not have a problem with it. I was just like, oh, good, there's a messenger coming in, and they're bringing something with them, and that's cool, whatever, Let's see what that thing is. I wonder what's in the box. And you know what? The box often enough had a severed head, and I'm not going to lie. And that may be why my own personal bias is kind of against the Knights, but I'm trying to figure it out, because these readings are general, and my own personal bias isn't going to be necessarily true for everybody. But if we diagnose the Knight, because we're here, and we're looking at the Knight, and he came in on top of the Devil. Devil's just pretty much the judge. He's like, do you see where that went wrong? Do you see where... What did you think the consequence was going to be of that action on one hand? And then on the other hand, what did you want the consequence to be? Because positive or negative, it's the only thing that makes it, what did you think was going to happen? What was the result of that is, our own personal bias. Because if you go out and it's like, you get the bug spray to kill the bugs, and then you come back and you spray the bug spray on the bugs, and then you're upset that the bugs died. What did you think was going to happen? Did you think they were going to run away and go on vacation or something? They were going to die, because that's what the purpose of that is. With the Nine of Cups coming up, we've got the Knight, and he's facing the past. He's facing some kind of emotional past. but he's also all armored up. Now, recently I've been on this whole kick where the knight probably doesn't own the horse. The knight probably doesn't care for the horse outside of whenever he's, off on a tangent with him. And he's wearing armor that somebody else paid for, essentially. And it protects him. It does serve a purpose to protect the knight, but he needs that protection because he's acting on somebody else's behalf. He's acting truly as a messenger, and I really want to say that this Knight of Cups in your case may be someone trying to act as though they're acting on somebody else's behalf, but truly they're acting on their own. They're doing something because while they were ordered to do it, they were ordered to bring this. It also brings them a paycheck. It brings them a firm foundation to live their life off of. But at the same instance, they're at somebody else's beck and call. They're meant to do somebody else's errands. They're meant to do somebody else's dirty work, the nasty, visceral kind of like war work. And if this is a cup of love, a cup of emotion, and this is somebody else coming in, I really want you to go back to that Queen of Swords energy. Why is this coming in now? What is the purpose of this now? Nothing has really changed for you, Aquarius, and you are the water bearer. It's possible that in that instance you could even be seeing yourself as the Knight of Cups, because the water bearer is an air sign and they communicate. They communicate, but often enough they are communicating emotion, this intangible thing, with direct communication, which is kind of difficult unless you're in a kind of therapy session, because that's what everybody expects out of a therapy session. And if you really want to get close in on this, it's like the Knight of Cups is bringing this information, bringing this emotional intelligence to somebody in order to give direction to someone who lacks it. And in saying that, you may be trying to, I didn't even notice that was the Page of Swords. That works out. It really looks like you might be trying to help someone find direction, but you're not sure how to do it. And somebody's going to be mad about this. Okay, different perspective. This is something that is done, dead, done, and over with, because this is the Four of Swords is my stop kicking a dead horse, let sleeping dogs lie, just leave things alone, and let them recover in their own time. However, that's still causing stress for you because you have these resources and things to deal with them, but you don't have the free will to be able to do that. I think that's what you're lacking. And this tower is going to come in. It's almost as though someone's standing between you and another person. Someone's standing between you and the ability to help another person. As we go through the whole spectrum of this reading. And you're getting to the point where you see that they lack direction. And there may be a part of you that feels empty because it's like you built this and it's not serving its purpose. So you're trying to give it another purpose. It could have something to do with the house too. as I go all over the map with your reading, Aquarius. I'm sorry. But we've got the Knight of Cups back here looking at the Page of Wands and looking at something that was exhausting. And you may be bringing in, hiring somebody to do this for you because you're unable to for some reason. It's quite possible somebody else, you may have given somebody else control over like a trust or some kind of financial thing. And it's not the devil that's that quote unquote bad guy here. You agree to have somebody else as like the, I'm trying to remember what I mean right now. Anyway, the person who controls the trust, and then there's somebody that oversees it. I think you may be, but this is like your stuff that you have put into this trust. And this other person is not allowing you to do what is it you think is necessary for someone or for something because they had an idea and they keep going back to it. They keep going back to this ivory tower of this is what this was built for and that's going to remain its purpose. It doesn't matter if it comes into degradation after this because it was built for that. It was built to stand there. And as it's depleting, it's losing its structural integrity, and the things flying out of the tower might be the bad spirit, the bad ill, the ill will that you're starting to feel towards this person. And if there is this Knight of Cups coming in and going back to deal with something from the past, deal with someone from the past, it could be trying to find a way to get out of a contract with someone. And since this is the Knight of Cups, this is almost as though the Knight of Cups maybe is someone that you entrusted this job to, and now that you're adding to it and giving other direction to this, you're enlisting the devil. Because what the devil does is not going to make this person happy. This person thinks they have more control than they do. And all the devil is doing is pointing out the terms and conditions of the contract. I'm going to try and wrap this up. But with the Page of Swords, I still haven't drawn your 9th card yet. With the Page of Swords being here, as someone that you most likely feel that you identify with in some way. And that's why it's someone that you've been at a distance to, but you identify with, and that you may want to communicate with, but there's this other person in this mix that's just like has their back to this person because they have some idea that they don't matter and they're not a rank and they don't have a place in this, but you still identify with them. And since this is all about something from the past, I think it's something from the past. And then there was just like a point in which this person was cut out for some reason. And Cancer. This person right here could be a Cancer. Either way, you are going to make progress, and you are going to, I think this entire month maybe just be you trying to work around someone who, whether they're the Knight of Cups or whether they're the Page of Wands standing between you and this separation, this thing that's been resting. Whether there's a situation or a person, and the Knight is there, I still think you're going to enlist somebody I don't think you are the knight. I think you're going to enlist the knight or enlist the devil. Because this person is more associated with the tower and control of the tower. And you may be getting the devil to look over the contract and find and understand it and see it for what it is, and then the Knight of Cups is going to act on it on your behalf because it's carrying their message. It's carrying your message. So Aquarius, it was upright. We're not going to start doing that. It was upright. You are going to be able to make the moves that you want to make. It's just going to take time. It looks like most likely this is going to be the 3rd week of May that you're going to find the most success with, because that's when things are going to move. And then by the end, if you're looking to reconnect with someone, this Page of Swords, it will be, I'm not going to say that it's going to be to your benefit, because it doesn't feel like it's positive or negative. It just feels like it's a connection. And it could just be a free-flowing idea kind of a thing that's going on with you this month, and that a relationship that you want with this person. Now, I'm not getting anything off of why you want this relationship with this person or what the result is going to be, but yeah, Aquarius, this does look good if you're looking to reconnect with someone, if you're looking to regain control of a situation. It looks like you will be doing that, but you're going to enlist a couple of parties. You may even use a party to reconnect with this person too. And realize there may be something with vehicular travel too this month. Whether it's about control of it or a planning end, it's going to be a focus. So changes will be made and doors will open and connections will reconnect or connect for the first time. And Aquarius, you have a fantastic month. I am still doing dailies, weeklies, and monthlies. I'm going to get started on the weeklies here soon. So it'll be for the week starting of the 4th of May. So thank you guys for tuning in, and I will also be doing timeless 72-hour readings on Thursdays. So thank you for tuning in. I hope you will be back to hear me ramble and rave and do all the things. And please make sure that you hit like and subscribe and come back for more.